I'll Be Home for Hearthwarming Eve by Incredible Blunderbolt. Read by Deathlight.
I will be coming home. Maybe not as soon as we'd like, but no sooner than we know.
Twilight tore through town as fast as her legs could carry her. She'd only just heard the news. Grifonia had just attacked Sugarcane Village, a small border town on the edge of Equestria. Details were sketchy, but every pony agreed. This was leading to full-scale war. Twilight shook the terrifying thoughts from her head. Don't need to think about that. But she knew the Wonderbolts, each members of the Equestrian Royal Air Force Special Operations Teams. She knew what was happening, going to happen to her Dashi, and she prayed she was wrong. Sliding on the glare ice straight from the road to the door of the recruiting station, Twilight opened the door in a panic. Rainbow! A dozen ponies looked at her with vexed expressions, but Twilight only cared about the cyan one near the back. No. Her voice fell as she noticed her Namuraga's bronze armor. Tears began rolling down her cheeks. Please, tell me no. The cyan mare slowly walked up to Twilight, her armor clattering as the pieces, too large on her body, slipped along her shoulders. An unusual somber gaze radiated from her eyes as she wrapped the unicorn in a warm embrace. Twilight lost every monochrome of her self-control as Rainbow confirmed her greatest fears. I'm in the first wave. She knew? How could she not know? Rainbow Dash was a top flyer, incredibly courageous, loyal, loving, but Twilight didn't want to believe it. This could not be happening. The room seemed to mock her. Recruiting posters hung high on the walls. They hustled and bustled as the soldiers moved to and fro, preparing for battle and whispering quietly amongst themselves. The walls were closing in around her. She had to get out, had to leave. This was too much for her to handle. No! She screamed. She pulled herself out of Rainbow's legs and ran out of the building, crying. How could Celestia do this to her? Take away the most important thing in the world to her, for something so stupid as a war. Twilight didn't care what she was doing. She just wanted to get away from Ponyville, away from the soldiers and the ponies and Rainbow Dash, and the Hearthwarming Eve decorations that laughed at her while she sprinted down the street. Tears filled her vision, blinding her, causing her to crash into Applejack's merchant stand. Stumbling, she grumbled an apology to the farmer, and continued barreling down the street. The lake did little to calm Twilight, but how come would one be when the lover goes to war? For the 100,000th time, Twilight groaned. Why? The unicorn wished that Rainbow Dash could be there to comfort her, tell her that everything would be alright. Yet at the same time, the cyan mare was the last thing that Twilight wanted to see. She didn't know if she could stand the pain. Either way, the sound of clanging metal made their way down the path towards her. Twilight contemplated leaving, running away so that she didn't have to deal with Rainbow, to avoid the heartache that had been hounding her all morning. She couldn't do that to her mare friend though, so as the sounds grew closer, Twilight sighed and looked back down at the ground. Twilight? The unicorn didn't bother responding. There was nothing for her to say. Quietly, Rainbow Dash strolled up beside her and sat down. They remained there for a while, silence hovering over the couple like a dark cloud. Finally, Twilight spoke. Rainbow, please don't leave me, she cried into her lover's shoulder. Why, I got to go, Rainbow said smoothly, patting Twilight's back in a gentle fashion. It's my job. Suddenly, Twilight felt blood pounding in her ears. Liquid rage pounded through her veins like kerosene, igniting her muscles and burning her heart. She jerked once more out of Rainbow's arms and growled viciously. So you're just gonna leave? 2 weeks before Hearthwarming Eve? What about your friends? What about your parents? She paused only for a second before looking at the ground and adding with a sigh. What about me? Rainbow looked into her eyes. Twilight, I don't want to go, but I feel like I have to. The Griffins attacked us and stole our land. If we don't strike back, they'll do it again. Even if it wasn't required, I would still sign on. Twilight snapped at her. How dare you! I thought you loved me! Twilight regretted those words almost instantly, as she watched Rainbow's face fall with tearful eyes. Her jaw moved inaudibly before the switch turned on and words found their way out. I do love you. Why? A tear slid down Rainbow's cheek and onto the snow by her hooves. Why would you ever think different? Twilight didn't have an answer prepared, so she stared blankly at the snow. I'm sorry, Rainbow. I just, if you don't come back. She looked up to face the mare that was her entire world. And once more, a torrent of tears threatened to come forth. I just can't take it. Twilight felt Dash wrap her legs around her tenderly. I'll come back, Twilight. I promise. Twilight shook her head in dejection. We both know you can't promise that. A hoof ran down the unicorn's mane, causing her to shudder. I just wish I could have spent Hearthwarming Eve with you. Rainbow pulled back and held Twilight at leg's length, so she could look her lover in the eyes. "Hey, I'll come back," she said smoothly. "And even if I'm not here for Earthworm Eve, I promise you, my heart will be." "Rainbow." Twilight let the words hang. Action spoke louder than words after all. Reaching forward, the unicorn put her lips on Rainbow Dash's. Twilight breathed out a sigh and sipped her punch. "Come on, Twilight, you silly filly, let's go and wrap gifts!" Pinkie Pie blew into a small tube, an act that set off about 3 dozen gazoos affixated to her hat. The unicorn attempted to smile, but only managed a small grimace. You okie dokie, Twilight?" the party pony asked her dear friend. Twilight noticed the smile slipping on Pinkie's face, and felt guilty. She didn't even know why she came to the party in the first place. She'd been in a funk ever since Rainbow Dash's departure. The purple mare had barely shown herself outside lately. These days she mostly laid in the library, alternating between crying and reading sappy romance novels, trying to fill the hole her lover left when she left to Griffonia. "I'm sorry, Pinkie. I guess I'm just not in the mood." "But it's Heartwarming Eve!" the pink mare protested. "You can't be all saddy-waddy on Heartwarming Eve!" Pinkie grabbed her by the hoof and dragged her to the tree with the others. Twilight protested, but Pinkie would have none of it. The happy pony sat Twilight right between the wall and Fluttershy. At least, Twilight thought it was a wall. "Look, Twilight, you see? Rainbow Dash is with us in spirit!" The unicorn looked up at the picture of her perimeter on the wall by the tree. Pinkie was right. Maybe Rainbow Dash wasn't actually here. Maybe she was 1,000 miles away in a foreign country fighting off a legion of villainous griffins. But she had promised Twilight that she would come back. There was nothing to be sad about. What would Rainbow Dash say if she found out that Twilight had been spending the last 2 weeks moping about, like some sort of melancholic sloth? "Come on, Twilight, lighten up," she imagined her lover saying. "So I'm not there, big move. I'll be home soon and you got a bunch of friends to hang out with. Go have some fun." "Here we go," Pinkie Pie said, handing Twilight a colorfully decorated box. "Open it," she cried excitedly, allowing a smile to slip through her countenance. Twilight did as her hostess instructed, gently peeling back each layer of wrapping paper. Twilight opened the gift. No, silly," Pinkie Pie said, holding up another gift. "Like this." The pink mare grabbed a corner of paper with her teeth and tore at it. A second later, Pinkie had unwrapped the box of chocolates that Rarity had gotten her. Some other wrapping paper laid in a neat square behind her, leaving the illusion that there was still something inside. How did she... Never mind, Twilight thought. When it came to Pinkie Pie, the laws of physics just didn't seem to apply. Best just to leave well enough alone. In a poor imitation of her chaotic friend, Twilight tore the paper and exposed the cavern-scented candles set beneath. Fluttershy blushed and looked up at Twilight. I really wasn't sure what to get you, Twilight. I know you enjoyed reading, so, Typical Fluttershy, Twilight thought. Always too nervous about everything. Don't worry, Fluttershy. I like him. The yellow pony's eyes lit up instantly. You do? Twilight pulled a figurine out of the box and lit its wick. Yes, I do. Thank you, Fluttershy. Oh, you're welcome, Twilight. Fluttershy said excitedly. Twilight looked back over to the small crystal figure and realized, with a pang of heartache, that it was Commander Hurricane. Pinkie continued handing out gifts to all present. There was candy and noisemakers, funny hats and joke books, a fairy ruby for Spike, a designer dress for Rarity. Applejack even opened up a tow chain for her plow, and Twilight actually managed to once again forget about her problems. Here, Fluttershy, Pinkie Pie said, handing her the last present. It's for me! I just know you'll love it! With a gracious look, the Pegasus took the box in her hooves. Inside, there was a smaller box with a crank handle. Twilight noticed Pinkie's smile fade away as Fluttershy began to turn it. No, wait! The party pony screamed, too late. The lid of the box exploded open. A head of a pony emerged from inside, laughing hysterically. Fluttershy reeled back in panic, crashing into the wall and falling to the floor. The impact shook the wall and sent the photo straight to the floor, frames smashing on impact. One of the loose leaflets fell into Twilight's lit candle and ignited. The group stood around in shock, unsure exactly what to do. Move over, Applejack hollered, shoving Twilight to the side. The orange mare lurked up to the fire and stomped it out furiously. Pinkie ran up to Fluttershy, apologies pouring forth from her mouth like peaks of water. Oh my gosh, Fluttershy, I'm so sorry. I thought it was the pet chain I got you. She managed over the sounds of breaking glass and hoof stomps. The shy pony just lied on the floor in shock, her tail twitching nervously. Twilight moved to inspect the damage. The figurine was long gone, its remains strewn across the floor where they laid. The picture laid on top of the pile, Twilight picked it up. A charred, disfigured Rainbow Dash looked up at her from the paper. Her magic released the photograph without her permission, but Twilight didn't notice. She was already out the door. She knew she was being irrational. That was her being overdramatic. But Twilight just didn't care as she ran back to the library. She just wanted to get back to her bed, to hug her stuffed bear and pretend it was her rainbow. Rainbow lied on a picnic blanket next to Twilight, the shade of a tall pine protecting them from the harsh sun. Rainbow laughed hard at Twilight's joke, her crimson eyes like fire against her cyan coat. Twilight loved Rainbow's laugh. Well, she loved everything about Rainbow Dash, but her laugh had to take the cake. It was so lighthearted, so warm and inviting, yet cocky and brazen, much like the pony who issued it. The purple unicorn nuzzled up to her friend. "I love you, Rainbow." The other mer smiled warmly, nuzzling her back. "I love you too, Twilight." Flipping onto her back, Twilight placed her head onto Dash's legs. "And we'll always be together, right?" She smiled coyly. "Forever and ever, Twi. My heart belongs to you." "Listen to you. You've turned into a regular smooth-talking Romeo," Twilight teased. Taken aback, Rainbow chuckled. "It's your fault. You made me read all those stupid books." "I think it's sweet." "Sweet?" Rainbow groaned. She hated that adjective. "Awesome?" Twilight tried. Rainbow gave her a nod. "That's better." A knock on the door cut Twilight's dream short. Grumbling, the unicorn rose out of bed and stumbled down the stairs like a zombie to the door. With a yawn, she straightened her mane and stretched out her legs. She didn't want any guests to see her so disheveled. The door opened to reveal a tall stallion in full military garb. After a moment, she realized it was Soren of the Wonderbolts. His presence confused the mare. "What is—" Then it hit her. "No." "Good afternoon, Miss Sparkle. Are you having a good heartwarming eve?" the stallion said, removing his cap. When no response came, he continued. "I don't know if you remember me. My name is Soren. I fought with Dash in Griffonia. May I come in?" "No," Twilight wanted to say. "Go away and never come back!" This couldn't be happening. It was a trick. Yeah, it was a trick. Rainbow Dash was just pulling one of her signature pranks. In a few minutes, she'd come around the corner, grab Twilight up in a big hug and never leave her side again. Soren reached forward and tapped Twilight's shoulder gently, jerking her back to reality. The unicorn nodded and showed him inside. "Have a seat," Twilight said. "Would you like something to drink, Soren?" No thank you," he said apprehensively. He took a seat upon the couch across from Twilight. "You probably know why I'm here." Twilight rolled her eyes. "He was really gonna play through with this, huh?" "Not really, Mr. Soren," she said playfully. "Are you here to tell me how Rainbow Dash is doing? I bet she's got those griffins running scared already." Soren released a long, doleful sigh. Well, Miss Twilight, Rainbow Dash, she won't be coming home." Twilight suppressed a chuckle. He wasn't trying very hard, was he? "Oh no!" she cried in false horror. "Whatever shall I do?" This earned her a raised eyebrow from Soren, who continued. "We went in with the first wave. We were supposed to secure a small sector on the west of a major arms manufacturing plant. When we got there, we couldn't find hide or feather the griffins. Orders came from command to take the factory, and that's when they attacked." Soren paused to blink back a tear. "Wow," Twilight thought. "A tear? Maybe he is a good actor. These little bastards attacked us from the shadows. We didn't even know what was going on until we heard the screams. Rainbow, she went for help, but the factory just exploded. It just exploded." Soren looked down to the floor and began mumbling. "Lured us to a factory just to blow us up to Kingdom Come." He looked up at Twilight with tears in his eyes. "I'm so sorry, Miss Twilight." "Okay," Twilight thought haughtily. How long was this going to go on? She wanted to see her mare friend, and Soren was delaying it. "Okay, Rainbow, you can come out now," Twilight called, looking around the room. "Come on, I know you're out there." No pony answered her calls. Soren shook his head, desolately. "Miss Twilight, I sincerely hope you're joking, but I'm not." He pulled a small box out of his pocket. "She wanted you to have this." Twilight opened the case impatiently, but she was completely unprepared for what waited inside. "No," she sobbed. It wasn't it. It couldn't be it. No, you're lying. She's just pranking me. Rainbow! She called up through her tears. "Come on, this isn't funny anymore." Soren reached a leg forward and pulled Twilight into a hug. She tried to fight it, but she simply gave up. It wasn't a joke. It wasn't a prank. Dashy, Twilight's greatest friend, was gone forever. Twilight sobbed into Soren's shoulder, releasing her sadness and fear, her frustration and anger. What had Rainbow ever done to deserve this? What had Twilight ever done? The box lay on the table now, temporarily forsaken for a shoulder to cry on. But inside was something that Twilight would never let go. Something she earned the hard way. Something she managed to love and hate at the same time. A little purple gem in the shape of a heart. And a note that said, I told you it was yours.
See you again.
Merry Christmas, everyone. As you can tell, this story didn't have a very happy ending. And, I tried to show that in my narration, but I don't know if it turned out too well. But, anyways, I did my best, and I think it's pretty damn good, considering I've been only doing this for about 2 to 3 months, so you're not gonna become pro overnight. Not gonna happen. But anyways, so I'm gonna be getting back to my original things, my 2 chapter stories I've been working on. I'm gonna get back to those as of next week. And I'm gonna be putting out a New Year's thing also next week, I believe. Yeah, next week I'm gonna be putting out a New Year's thing. It's gonna be a comic, so look forward to that. So yeah, see you later.